So see, in this session, we are going to see that one, that Azure SQL database overview. Here we are going to see that one, how we can create that Azure SQL database. See that overview of the Azure SQL database. Actually, here we are having SQL database as a service. Already we have discussed about that our cloud services, right? That infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So here, the SQL database, the Azure SQL database, we can say like that one, the SQL database as a service. As well as we can say that platform as a service, because this is the one we are going to use it for the development purpose. So which is already available, which is an existing one. Okay, the existing one actually, so that our cloud environment, once you create that your resource, a SQL Server resource. So once you create it now, so then you can use it for the development purpose. So that we can say that one is a platform as a service. This Azure SQL Server is nothing but same like that our on-premises SQL Server, what you are using. So for the same database development purpose, the same SQL Server engine only here using the Azure SQL Server. So the same they are using for the development purpose in the cloud environment, the database development purpose. The on-premises SQL Server, what purpose you are using? The same purpose here we are using. So that on-premises SQL Server, whatever you have developed for that your existing project. When you are migrating into the cloud, you can use this Azure SQL database. So you can migrate that your on-premises SQL Server into that your Azure SQL database. And flavors of cloud SQL database, cloud SQL databases, so Azure SQL database, SQL virtual machines. Suppose if you want to use that virtual machine, which is going to support for that Azure SQL database, now you can create that virtual machine, then you can install that SQL server. Suppose if you're having that existing license, now you can install it in that virtual machine. That is called SQL virtual machine. So it will come under that infrastructure as a service. No, I don't have that any existing license actually. So I need that SQL server. So as one of the resource from the Azure cloud environment, you can create that Azure SQL database, which is coming under that platform as a service. It depends upon that your business. So mostly we are using that Azure SQL database, right? The flavors of cloud SQL databases. And the features of Azure SQL databases. So as usual, the database what you are using, all the features are available here. And something will be extra, which is going to be support for the cloud environment. Business continuity and high availability. The business continuity, we know that when usually we will keep that minimum 2 servers for keeping that business continuity and high availability purpose. Primary and secondary servers actually we will use it. The same thing, the Azure SQL database, we can do it. So the business continuity and high availability, and the auditing feature is available. The auditing, so you know that when the auditing actually, so who accessing the data, when they are accessing data, what type of actions they have done it in that our database, all types of things actually we can track it, right? The tracking actually, so we can do it using this our auditing feature. And the data which you are having in that our Azure SQL database, the data, if you want to use it for the analysis purpose, using that our Power BI, yes, you can integrate that your Azure SQL database with the Power BI. Power BI is a separate resource. That means our external software. So the software, the Power BI, you are going to use it for the data analysis purpose, for creating the dashboard. You are using the Power BI. So that source data, if you are going to get it from that your Azure SQL database, yes, we can do it. The integration with the Power BI will support. So dynamic data masking. Dynamic data masking. The data, the personal information, so if you are having in your data, It should not be visible to all the users. You have to restrict the visibility to all the users. You have to mask the data. Usually personal details, personal information should not be visible to all the users. So like that, your email ID, mobile number, passport number, Aadhaar number, SSN number, like that. The personal information, credit card number, bank account number, anything. The personal information should not be visible to all the users. When you are loading the data into that your database, the data actually should be masked. The dynamic data masking feature here it is available. If you are going to do the encryption, it's a totally different concept. But masking, hiding the data. You know that one. So in some web applications, when you're writing that your data, actually, so for example, that our credit card, if you are entering that one, when you're getting the print, actually, it will show that one star mark, right? Or dot mark, or X symbol. It's masking. So that masking feature here it is available. Right? And elastic pools. Actually, elastic pools is one of the feature which is available in that our cloud environment for the distribution purpose. The distribution, what type of distribution? Here we are going to have some configuration. Okay, so that some configuration feature going to be there. I will show you when I'm creating that our database, the hands-on. So that configuration, so we are going to distribute with the multiple databases. So elastic pools for the distribution. The flexible pricing configuration. Cloud actually pay as you go model, right? Whatever you are going to use it, you are going to pay for it. The configuration, you can decide it what type of configuration. Actually, if you are creating the database means in the behind, what it is happening now, it is going to create that one virtual machine for you. If it is going to create that one virtual machine means the machine configuration you have to mention. The machine configuration, you can decide it based on that your environment, whether you are going to use it for the development purpose or you're going to use it for the testing purpose or you're going to use it for the production purpose. Based on the environment, you can decide that configuration. DTU or vCore, DTU, data transfer unit. vCore means so virtual core. See here, that configuration, what you are going to choose it, based on that one, the billing will be there, the charges. DTU, if you are using now, the charges somewhat it will be low when compared with that vCore. vCore mostly we will use it for the production environment. So for what purpose you are going to use that database environment? So based on that one, you can choose that DTU and how much amount of data usually you will process. Based on that also, we can choose that configuration, either the DTU or vCore. Even the DTU, we are having 3 categorization. vCore also, we are having 3 categorization. And Azure hybrid benefit. Azure hybrid benefit now, see here, imagine already you are having that on-premises license for the 5 years, SQL Server license. On-premises license for the 5 years. After completing the 2 years, your organization planning to migrating everything into the cloud. Then what we have to do, the on-premises SQL Server, whatever we are having, all those data, we have to bring it into that our Azure SQL database. So we need that Azure SQL database in that our cloud environment. At that time, what you can do it now, so you can create that your Azure SQL database using that your on-premises license. Some cost it will be reduced when you are using that your existing on-premises license. So this type of feature actually it is called Azure hybrid benefit.
So can you just repeat that last point again? Uh, uh, that hybrid benefit.
Simple one. You can use that your on-premises license for your Azure SQL database. If you are using that your on-premises license when you are creating that your Azure SQL database, now, for example, just for understanding, I'm telling you that imagine they are charging that 100 rupees. Just for the understanding, I'm taking this amount. Usually, if you are creating that Azure SQL database, now, imagine it, just they are charging 100 rupees. Because you are creating that new database, you don't have that any existing license, so they are going to charge 100 rupees.
Hmm.
At the same time, if you are having that your on-premises license, and that your on-premises actually you're planning to migrate into the cloud, but the on-premises you're having the 3 more years license. This time actually what they will do it now. So if you are using that your on-premises license, so when you are creating that your Azure SQL database now, this time they will not charge that 100 rupees. They will charge like that amount, the 60 or 70 rupees. So they will reduce the sum amount because already you are having that existing license.
Okay.
The existing license, you can use it when you are creating that your Azure SQL database. So that means you don't want to pay that fully amount. So there will be some concession for that your existing license. So that existing license, which you got it for the on-premises, the same license, you can use it for the Azure SQL also. That is the reason it is called the hybrid benefit. Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Fine. So this, what is the business continuity and high availability in the auditing and dynamic data masking, the elastic pools and flexible pricing configuration, all these things, everything we are going to see that hands-on. Okay. Another the coming 4 or 5 classes, everything will be in that hands-on with this Azure SQL database. Now we are going to see that one, how we can create that our Azure SQL database in that our Azure portal. Once you logged in into that your Azure portal, if you're having that account, the landing page actually, so it will be like this. Here you have to create that your resource, what you want to create. The SQL database, if you want to create it now, you can create this. So all these steps, you will see it in that our hands-on part. When you are creating that your database, you have to provide that all the required information like that region, which region you are going to create that your database. And what is the database name? And if you know that one, if you are going to create the database, no, the database server should be there. So server should be created. Then you can create that your database. So new server we have to create, then only we can create the database, and resource group is nothing but all the grouping of resources, what resource we are creating. See here. You can see this place. See, so the subscription and resource group. These two things by default will be available for all the resources. Whatever resources you are going to create in that Azure portal, the resources should be created under that subscription in the organization. If there will be an organization subscription. Here we are going to use that our own subscription, like that our free trial or that our pay-as-you-go. So that subscription, under the subscription, you have to create one resource group. The resource group, nothing but it is going to have that all the collection of resources. For example, in that our development time, actually, you will create that one database, okay? And you will create the data factory for the pipeline ETL purpose, okay? 2 resources. And you may use that one Databricks, Azure Databricks for the transformation purpose, okay? Now 3 resources. And you may use that one Logic Apps is one of the resource. This is the one we are going to use it for the sending, right? Okay, 4 resources. So imagine in this scenario, in my project, I need all these 4 resources. The resources, if you are going to create means, all the resources, you have to create under that one of the resource group. The resource group, usually what we will do it now, we will create the resource group, one for the development. The same set of resource group, later we will create for the production. The development one, we can use it for the testing also. Or else if you need that separate environment for that testing, one more resource group we will create for the testing. So resource group going to have that collection of resources. So these two by default will be there for all the resources creation. Right? Fine. Once you create that one, any resource, once you create that one new resource means in the behind, one virtual machine will be created. That virtual machine deployment will be happened. Once it's ready in the behind the background environment, then you can start that your resource. So this one will show that one deployment is completed. So if you see this message, that means your resource, what you are creating, that resource is created in the backend. You can start to use that your resource. Right? Now let's get into that our portal. So here, this is a URL. You have to use it portal.azure.com. This is the URL. So you have to log in using that your credential. So the account creation, I will show you how to create that one. So for the account creation purpose, actually, you need that one email ID, one mobile number, one credit card. I'll show you later how to create that account. Now, just I'm going to show you using that my existing credential. So that the URL portal, Azure portal, so the Azure portal, I'm going to use that my credential. So here, login into that.
Shiva, sorry to interrupt. So when you are saying 2 resource groups, so for dev and testing, there would be a separate resource group, and for production, there would be a separate one.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, at the backend, there are 2 different virtual machines for the dev environment and for the production.
Yes. In the backend, it will be there, but it is not also our responsibility that Microsoft, the Azure, it will take care of that all the backend creations. So in our perspective, each one separate resource group, one for the development, one for the production. The UI perspective, so we can see it.
Okay.
Fine. Now, here, login into that portal. Once you logged into that your Azure portal using that your credential, it will come into this landing page. The landing page will be like this. This is a landing page. The recently used resources, it will be listed out in this landing page. Azure Synapse Analytics, Resource Group, Storage Account, Data Factory. What you have used recently are the recent used resources. It will be available here. Now, I want to create that MySQL database, the Azure SQL database. The Azure SQL database. The Azure SQL database, if you want to create in the recent used resources list, if that SQL database is available now, you can create from here by clicking this one. Suppose the resource what you are going to create is not available in that recent used list now. What you can do it now? The left side, the left top, you can see that 3 lines. You can click this one. You can click this one. See here, create a resource. You can click this. Create resource. In this search box, you can search that one, what resource you want to create. The SQL database. So it will navigate to that your marketplace, and here it will list out that all the database related resources. So Azure SQL, SQL Elastic Code. Okay.
Sir, can you go to that 3 lines again once, please? There at the bottom we have this one, right? SQL database. Can't we
In the
directly go
favorites,
and
if it is available, I'll just
Okay.
listen it. I will come to everything. Okay. All the ways, whatever
Okay.
it is that.
Okay.
So here, so you can check that one, the database. So where it is available. So that one actually, so you can choose it. So here, so the SQL database, this is the one actually I need it, but all are related to the database related things. Suppose another way, if you want to create, usually the regular, that our regular work actually, whatever resource you want to create, usually how we will search it now using this search box. Here only we will search it. So it will navigate directly to the SQL database. Navigate directly to the SQL database. Right? And frequently, if you are going to create that resources, that resources actually, so here, that favorites actually, you can add it, the resources. So the favorites, it will be available. By default, they have added some of these resources because whatever resource you are going to work, resource groups by default will be there, and storage surely will be there. Storage and enter ID, it's admin purpose, the new user creation, the purpose actually we will use it, and monitoring, so database. In our perspective, the data engineering perspective, these all things frequently we will use it. So one of this way, you can create that resource. I'm going to create by searching in the search box a SQL database. Click this one. It will navigate to the SQL databases. So whatever the databases, you may use it multiple database for your project. It depends upon the project requirement. All the database, whatever you have created, all the databases, it will be available in this area, the SQL database section. As of now, we don't have that any database. So I'm going to create that new database by clicking this create SQL database. By clicking this one, you can create, or else in the left side, we are having that create, right? The left top corner, we are having that create. So by clicking this also, you can create that one database. And now they are giving some free usages. Okay. So 6-7 months back, actually, they did not provide this feature. Even if you are going to create for storing that 10 record, you have to pay some amount. But later, actually, they have given this feature, the apply offer feature. So this one actually, we can use it for the free serverless database. Free serverless database in the behind actually. So the database will be created. Up to this 1 lakh week or seconds, the virtual core machine processing seconds, that one it will be calculated by that your virtual machine based on that volume of your data. Right? So for our learning purpose, so this free offer, we can use it. This free offer, we can use it. And the subscription I said, right? Every resource you have to create under that one subscription. Without the subscription option selection, you cannot create that any resource. Because the billing calculation will be calculated under that your subscription only. What license you are having. Based on that one, the billing actually it will be calculated. So the calculation, the invoice creation, everything should be there under that your subscription. Now I'm having that free version. So I think so 1 more week I'm having. So I can use this free trial. But after that free trial expiring, I have to upgrade my version if I need, if I want to continue the same account. Or else, actually we are using for the learning purpose only, right? Or else what we can do it, we can cancel this subscription and we can create the new account if you are having that new credit card. Because using that one credit card, you can create that only one account. So for the safer side, you can use that separate email ID also. Otherwise, sometimes they're checking that email ID also. So sometimes they are not allowing to create that another account using the same ID because a email ID is going to be used as a your login credential, login user, right? So that's what actually sometimes it's not allowing, but I tried 2-3 times, but it was not allowed. So safer side, we are going to use it for the learning purpose only. So keep that separate email ID and separate credit card for the learning purpose. If you're having, okay, fine. So subscription, you have to choose it. And resource group. I said under the resource group, you have to create that all the resources. But as of now, I don't have that any resource group. I don't have that any resource group. Now, I want to create that one new resource group. So by clicking this create new option, I can create that new resource group. The resource group, for what purpose you are going to use it? See, so that you can give that your project name. My project. Right? This is going to be the development purpose. And that resource group. To represent like this the resource group, I can using that RG in the prefix, sorry, in the suffix side. See, the naming convention, you can follow like this. By referring the name, you can find out whether that resource group is belongs to development or that what. This is the way the name will be followed. So click that OK. The new resource group will be created. And I'm going to create the database. The database name you can give it based on that your project. So now, simply I'm going to give that one demo team. I'm going to create the name of demo team. But if you are going to create the database, you have to choose that database server. But as of now, I don't have that any server. I want to create the new server. So I'm going to create the new server. Okay. The server name. The server name. The server name, actually, I have to provide the server name as usual. The project related name, you can give it. So I'm going to give that one SQL Server Siva, something like this. I'm going to give that one. So that name should be a unique name. It should be a unique name, globally unique name. No one should be used that from other organization, the same name. So your project related name here, you will use it. And location, what is the meaning of location? Actually, Azure Cloud, we are using cloud, but whatever we are creating, for example, we are creating Azure SQL database. The later we will create the data factory, and we will create that our data lake storage. We will create the blob storage. We will create the data bricks. All these things where it will be available. Simply we can say that one it will be available in the cloud environment. But in cloud environment means is it going to be there in the sky? No. It is going to be somewhere in the physical location. Somewhere in the physical location. See, here, just imagine, we are having some data center, the different locations. This is on data center. 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 The data center actually, for example, this is available in that years. East years. The data center available that East years. This data center available West years. This data center available Europe. This data center available Australia. Right? Australia East. This is available. Something else. Cloud means it is not going to be stored all data in the sky. The data actually it is going to be stored in somewhere in that physical location only. But that physical location actually it's accessible through that our internet. That's what we are saying like that one, it's a cloud. Using that our web application, we can access that our data center. That configurations, that our environment setup, everything implemented somewhere. That environment accessible through the web browser. That's what we are saying like it's a cloud. So if you are going to create that one resource means you have to create under that one of the resource, one of the data center only, right? Where you are going to create, where you have to create. It's depends upon that your customers. For example, I'm working for the US client. I am working from India, but my clients are there in that US. Who are going to access that my business data frequently? All those people are available from the US only. As a development team, we are working from India. We are not going to access the data frequently. The daily who's going to access the data? The persons who are in that US. All client people. They are going to access my business data daily basis. So here you have to think about that user who is going to access your business data frequently. Based on that user's location, you have to choose that your location when you are creating that your resource. This is important. So here, the East US by default is selected, but your subscription does not have access to create the server in the selected region. So because this is a free version, the free version actually they are having some restrictions. So we cannot create under that our East US data center location. So we can try with the another location. So the another location, I think the Australia East will support. But now I'm selecting the Australia East because this time we are having some restriction to create that databases that all the resources, all the regions, since it is a free version. Free version, we are going to use it for the learning purpose only. So we can create anywhere. But the actual scenario, what you have to do, you have to choose that location based on that your customer, where they are going to frequently access that location. You have to choose it here. That is important. Fine. And next, authentication method. How you are going to access that your database? Usually we will use that one SQL authentication. Generic authentication, if you want to provide that one, you can use that Entra ID, the Microsoft Entra only authentication, you can choose it. But mostly we will, so in the security perspective, actually we will use that SQL authentication only. So we will create that our project related username and password. So here I'm going to use that one. So that admin Shiva and password. Confirm the password. Click OK. Click it. I am creating the server now. I am creating the server now. The database server actually I have created. Okay. And come to the next, networking. As of now, I am not doing any networking setup. I will show you after creating this one what we have to do related to the networking. Now I'm not going to select anything. As it is, I'm leaving. The connectivity method by default is no access. Okay. So rest order I'm leaving as it is, and come to the security. Here also I'm not going to do anything as it is. If you're not going to choose anything, then directly you can click the review plus create. Okay, fine. Since I have selected that free offer, so there is no any cost. As of now, there is no any cost until that your the 1 lakh vCore is I'm completing that one until completing that 1 lakh vCore usages or that this 32 GB storages. Fine. Now click the create. So the database, see initializing deployment, submitting deployment. So that means in the behind one environment setups like on virtual machine, this creation process is happening in that virtual machine. One SQL server installation should be happen. Everything it will be happen automatically in the behind. Okay. So the deployment is in progress means so that resource what you have requested, that request actually that is sorry the resource it is in creating. It is in so it is in progress, the creation progress in the behind. Let's wait for some time. So once this deployment is completed, we can check it whether we are able to log in into that our database or not. We should access that our database for creating the table, right? Or getting the data, but this time we are creating the first time. So there should not be any database, the existing database table. There should not be any existing database table. So we can create that our database table. If you are creating the database table now, you need that one query editor window, right? The query editor window, actually you need it. Usually when you are working with that on-premises SQL server, you will use that SQL Server Management Studio for connecting with that your server. Actually, Management Studio is the UI tool, which is we are going to use it to connect with that our database. Actually, SQL Server Management Studio is not a database. It's IDE only, just the user interface. The user interface, we are going to use it to connect to that our database. But the database, it will be installed in that your local machine. Right? So that IDE, it will be user friendly when we are writing the query, because the query editor window will be available in that IDE, that user interface tool. In the query editor window, I can write the query. The same way, the database, once it's created in that our Azure SQL database, the Azure platform. And if I want to create that query then I need that query editor window, right? The query editor window, it's available or not. Let's check it once this deployment is completed. So it's almost done, and click this refresh. Yeah, it's almost
Uh,
done. Yes.
Sir, is there any limitation on the number of resources that a resource group can have?
The resource group, no.
Okay.
Yeah, now the deployment is completed, and go to the resource. So here,
Sorry. So one quick question. Uh, so similar resources of the same group can use for the different resource group as well.
different name.
Different name. Okay.
Suppose if you want to create the two databases under that same resource group, just for the example, I'll tell you can create two databases with a different
Okay.
name. And
Resource
if
will
you're-
be with a different name.
different name. Yes. Within the
Okay.
resource group, you have to create that different name. Suppose if you are going to create one more. But usually it will not be happen except the database.
Okay.
Because you are not going to create that any for example, data factory I need it. Data factory, if I want to use it now, in my project, one resource group, I will create it. In that resource group, I will use that only one data factory only. I will not create the two data factory.
Right.
Because the data factory is the ETL tool. One ETL tool is enough for me. Using the data factory, I can create a number of pipelines. But if you need, yes, you can create with a different name.
Okay.
Within the project, actually, we are going to use that one child project. Some child projects are there. So each project I want to keep that separately. Then I want to keep that some separate resource. No, you can create. It depends on. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now the database is ready. I want to create the table in my database. Then I need that query editor window. See here, the query editor window on the left side, see the left side pan, you can see that one, the query editor preview is available, right? The query editor, I will open it in a separate window, just by clicking the right click, okay? And here, you have to log in using that your credential, what you have provided when you are creating that your database. My database, actually, I have given that admin Siva as that username and password. I have to enter what I have given when I was creating. Log in into that, but I'm not able to log in into that my database. The reason an instance specific error occurred while establishing a connection to the SQL server. The network access is set to yes. That to connect to the server, use the private endpoint from inside your virtual network. Actually, I said when I was creating that my database, actually, I did not do that any of that networking setups. Suppose if you are not giving that any access while you are creating that your database. See here, this is our database, right? See here, in the overview page, you have to come to this server firewall, set server firewall. See here, public network access actually, it's a disabled actually. Usually in the real time, we will keep that one so that our private access, but now I'm going to show you using this our public one by choosing the selected networks. And from the local machine, if you want to access it now, usually by default, it will take that your IP, but here it is not taking. What you have to do now? You have to create that add client. And here you have to mention that your IP number, which system IP you are going to use it. By default, that system IP should take it. Sometimes it is not taking. Sometimes it is taking. So what I can give it now. I'm going to give it that to allow that all the IP, which is starting from that 0 to 250, 255. So just I'm giving that all the IP details. So if you're giving like this now, it will allow for any machine, any IP. But real time, you will not give it like this one. Automatically, it will take that your machine IP. Suppose sometimes it will ask to add that IP. So this one you have to do it. Then the exceptions, one option is there, right? Exceptions. See, this is the one. Allow Azure services and resources to access this server. What is the meaning of this? Azure SQL database is one of the Azure's resource. This database data, who going to access? Who going to access? The data I'm going to access from the SQL server, data factory. The data I'm going to access from the Databricks. The data I'm going to access from the Snaps. See here, Snaps is one of the resource. Databricks is one of the resource. Azure resource. Data factory is one of the resource. Right? All of Azure resources. But by default, the resources will not have the permission to access the data from that your database. Because this option by default will not be selected. You have to select when you are creating that your database. Whether you want to give the permission to access this resource from any other resources. You have to check this one. As of now, we are not going to use that our data factory directly, but I'm telling you what is the purpose of this one. So that resource by default, that what is it one that your SQL server resource by default, it will not be accessible from other resources. So first thing you have to check this firewall setting whether this IP address and this exception enabled or not. If you are not able to access that your database, the first thing you have to do this thing, right? Fine. Now I have added everything. Click the save. Now let's come to that data query editor window. This time I'm trying to access. That means I'm trying to log in. Yes. I'm able to log in now. This is my database. This is my database. This database here, you can create that your query. Whatever you want to write, you can write the query here. Simply, I'm going to create table. Create table. The table name, whatever you want. And column. The column details. Right? Location. The data type. Like this, you can create. Close it. Run it. The query succeeded, affected row 0. You can see that when the table is available here under that your tables. Yes. This is the way you can create the table. I'm going to insert the record. Insert into that your table. Values of that one. The name. The location. Second record. The name. Location. Like this you can enter. The third record. Fine. Affected was 3. Three rows inserted. We can select the data. Select star from. See here. Yes, I got all the records. I'm able to create the records. I'm able to insert the record. I'm able to create the table. But the real time, actually, we will not use this query editor window maximum. Very rarely we will use. Because this user interface is not user friendly. If you are creating that query for selecting the 2 or more records, now you cannot see that more records, more table outputs. Because to query, if you are writing now, so then every time we have to scroll it because this canvas environment, the query editor environment, you cannot expand it. This is not a user-friendly environment for writing that because to query. Frequent work, if you are having in that your database related now, then this query editor window is not that. What is that one? So the regular development purpose. Then what I can do? The same thing actually. So as a database developer, maximum the who are working with that Azure data engineering, all are already they used SQL Server Management Studio, the local. Using the same SQL Server Management Studio, we can interact with that our Azure SQL database. Actually, in the on-premises database server, what we have used it, the same SQL Server Management Studio, the same one here, you can use it to access that your Azure SQL database also, you can do it. That one we'll see it later, how to use that one. What are the tools? Actually, 2 tools we will use it to access that our Azure SQL database from that our local machine. One is that Azure SQL Server Management, SQL Server Management Studio. Another one is that Azure Data Studio is one of the tool which we can install in that our local machine and we can connect to that our Azure SQL database. Azure Data Studio. 2 tools are there. Sometimes that during the interview time, the very basic level question they may ask, which tool you are using to connect with that our Azure SQL database? Simply, you can say that when I'm using that Azure, SQL database, SQL Server Management Studio. Yeah, maximum people, they are using that SQL Server Management Studio, or else they are using that Azure Data Studio. Both are you can install in the local machine. I will show you how to install it in that local machine and how to connect with that our Azure SQL database using that our SQL Server Management Studio as well as Azure Data Studio. Both are I will show. But the short queries, if you're going to write it, a simple analysis, if you want to do it. So immediately, if you want to do it, yes, you can open this query editor window and you can do this type of query writing here. If you want to add that extra users and you want to give that some permissions, no, all those things actually here you cannot do it, give it because this is not your management studio. So that type of features, if you want to do it now, then you have to go with that SQL Server Management Studio. That one also we are going to use it later. How to create that extra users. Because for the understanding the data masking concept, we are going to create that 1 or 2 extra users, and we are going to provide the view for the one user, and we are going to restrict for another user, how it will be. So that type of hands-on, we are going to see that one, the feature session. That time we will create that multiple users. So those type of user creations, we cannot do it using this the query editor window, which is available by default in this our database. That time we need that our external tool only, like our SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, that is one we will see at our latest session. But yes, this is the way we can create that our SQL Server database. SQL Server database. Sorry, Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database, we can create it.
Sorry, one quick question. So in that left tab, we can see table view and store procedure. So other things like SQL agent and all that are not part of this particular service.
No, here it will not be accessible. So those type of features, if you want to use it, then no option. You have to go that SQL, sorry, Azure, that's Management Studio only. You have to use it.
Okay, from here we cannot access it.
Yes. That all the admin related things, whatever you want to use it now, so you have to go with that Management Studio.
Okay, so is it that is not because of the subscription and all? It
No,
will
that is not.
be part.
That is the external one on premises only. You are going to access that your SQL Server, Azure SQL database from the SQL Server Management Studio for your user friendly development purpose only. So the subscription and your Management Studio, there is no any relationship.
So for that SQL agent and all, from this window it will be not accessible. From SSMS we need to we
You
can
have to
control
access.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
When you are logging into that your Azure SQL database, from that your SQL Server Management Studio, now the SQL Server Management Studio usually we will provide that our server details, right? The server, so that credentials we will provide that one, right? So that server information actually you have to get it from here. That every database, the server information we have created that server in the name of SQL Server Siva, right? The server name here
Yes.
it will be like this. So this server information actually you have to provide. And the credential what you have given when you are creating that one, that credentials you have to give it. In this place, you have to log in. So once you have the permission to log in into that your database, the Azure SQL database using this credential, what you are going to provide here, now then automatically it will be logged in. That's it. The environment only going to be different. Right?
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, so this is the way actually we can create that our Azure SQL database. So that next session again we are going to create that our database only. So the database actually here. So again we are going to create that our database only. So the database configurations. So the configuration, the TTU, VCO types of configuration. What is that one? So how to select that one? So this is the one we are going to see that one, and we will see that one how to connect using that our SQL Server Management Studio to that our Azure SQL database, as well as using that our Azure Data Studio, how we can connect. So if you are having time now, we will see that one Elastic will also in that next session.
So one quick question. So currently we connected via SQL Server authentication, right? But in the real-time scenario, it will be different, right? So that is something you'll showcase
No,
later,
real time
right?
also we are going to use that SQL Server. Maximum authentication is for the database specifically. Maximum we will connect using this one.
In a multi-user environment, are we going to share those credentials with everyone and they will log in using that?
As of now, even in my project, actually, we are using in that way only. But so huge amount of people so you are using and different purpose projects if you are going to access that databases now. So that service principal account you can create.
Okay. Service principal.
Active Directory.
Okay. Thanks.
So business
So
continuity.
is that something you are going to showcase later? Like how do we do it that way, or
that service principal I'm not going to show. But I enter ID how to create the user in that your Azure account, the Active Directory, that one I will show you.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, sir.
Business continuity and high availability and security and auditing. Okay, once this is done, then we are going to start that our data factory related things. So to understand that data, so we are going to discuss about what is the big data. Then we are going to discuss how to create that our data factory and the activities. Yes. From this one, everything it will be in that our data factory related. So another few classes, the SQL related things. This one actually, so you will get to know that one, how we can work with that our Azure platform. So you will get some idea to work with that our Azure platform. That's the reason actually first we are covering some basic things using that our database, because already database we know that one. So the same database here we can use it, but our intention is not going to learn that our database development. But we are going to learn that one, how to use the database inside of the our Azure SQL database, Azure SQL, Azure environment. So that, so Elastic Pool, that creation with the configuration and business continuity and our auditing concepts. So once we completed this one, now you will get some clarity about that our Azure SQL database, how to use it in that our Azure portal. Then we are going to start with that our data factory. Okay. So that's all for the day. So we will connect again tomorrow, same time.